Programs and art after hours with cocktails and performances. There's something for everyone. The Barnes. See art differently. Tickets at barnesfoundation.org.
WOL Washington, D.C. W240DJ Washington. 95.9 WMMJ HD3 Bethesda. WKYS HD3 Washington. WPRS HD3 Waldorf and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The topics, views, and opinions expressed on the air and via All Igniting Change with Barbara Arnwine, platforms by host Barbara Arnwine Esquire, guests, and supporters are their own and are independent of any organization, entity. Nothing said on the show or any of its platforms constitutes a client-attorney relationship or serves as legal advice counsel. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to Igniting Change, its platforms, or the show's host. It's time now for Igniting Change, a weekly provocative and empowering program where you, the listener, can ignite change. Now here's your host, Barbara Arnwine.
Get up, stand up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Igniting Change. We are so happy you're here with us this Tuesday. We want to say to everyone in the Midwest, everyone out there in the West Coast this morning, we want to say to everybody in the South, it is time for us to rise. It's time for us to fight for justice. Oh, we're so glad that you're joining the show because we are continuing our show from last week where we're talking about how do you give of yourself, your resources this Christmas, this holiday season. How do you step forth in a charitable manner to help organizations that are doing incredibly critical work? And we want to talk about one of those organizations and one of the biggest causes out here in the United States, and that's the fight to make sure that those who are homeless have shelter, have resources, are able to reclaim lives and save lives. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And before we get into that subject, let me bring up my mighty co-host, the chair of the board of the Transformative Justice Coalition, one of the nation's mightiest attorneys. He is ready and able. I'm talking about none other than Daryl D. Jones. Hey, Daryl.
Hey, Barbara, it must be Tuesday. It must be noon Eastern Standard Time because we need to talk about igniting change. But, Barbara, today we're going to talk about igniting change during this holiday season, during the season that people celebrate family, people celebrate children, people celebrate being together. They appreciate coming together in a home and have a big meal, the cookies, the what else they have, Barbara, warm milk, and all those things that they prepare for Santa and all the given things. Well, Barbara, one of the things that we need to understand about this season that not everybody has to be in that type of situation. Not everyone has the ability to be financial ability to be in that type of situation. And so one of the things we love to lift up, Barbara, we did it last week, we'll do it again today, is we'll talk about ways that you can fill your spirit by filling somebody else's needs. And this is going to be just an exciting show, Barbara. It's going to be, I think, a very heartwarming show, but also a very factually balanced show so that people understand and have the opportunity to contribute and to help someone else that's in need have a merrier holiday season, Barbara.
Absolutely. And I am just so happy that we're able to once again bring forth these amazing leaders, activists, advocates who are out there in the community making a change, helping people to restore, reclaim, and promote their lives. Oh, I am so glad that this show, we're going to be talking about a home for the holidays, ? Addressing the needs of homeless youth. Yes, young people, 14 to 25, homeless, needing a place to live. And you may be thinking in your mind that you know why children are in the streets, why children don't have a home. Well, listen to this show because you're going to learn a lot from our mighty, amazing guests. And in that spirit, I want to bring up our first guest, and that is Amber Green. She is the executive director and founder of the Phoenix Youth Project Incorporated. She's a former youth development specialist for her local city government. She sits on both the Youth Development Advisory Committee and the Truth, Racial Unity, Transformation, and Healing Committee. She starred in The Sign, a documentary about the removal of a Confederate marker located just a few feet from the second-to-last lynching in the state of Maryland. She's newly appointed to the Maryland Equitable Justice Collaborative, working amongst state leaders who are working to address the over-incarceration of African-American Marylanders. We want to welcome Amber Green to Igniting Change. Hey, Amber. Oh, wow. Okay. All righty. She has not joined us yet, but let me then go to our next guest, who is amazing. The next two guests I'm introducing you to are part of our Gen Z and Young Millennial Training Corps. They are our new leaders. They're from our leadership, training, but they've had so much amazing work they've done over the years in this area of addressing homelessness. And I am so happy to welcome to the show again, Mr. Bryan Sanders. Hi, Bryan.
Hey, good morning. How you, Ms. Barber? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Right down. And so you're a certified master trainer and lead organizer and partnership developer for Wisconsin Voices out of Milwaukee. Welcome, welcome. We're also happy to welcome Constance Crockett to Igniting Change, and she is a resident care worker and youth event coordinator at Courage Initiatives Milwaukee. She's the founder and president of the Black Women's Emancipation Instagram, Connie, and she is amazing. We are so happy to have you here, Connie. Welcome back to Igniting Change.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello to you both.
Well, we're happy. Daryl and I are so very thrilled to have you on the show, and we look forward to talking with you today about this subject. So first of all, can you tell us, each of you, how did you end up working on homeless issues? What drove you, compelled you to be involved in this work? Bryan?
Yes, thank you again, both of you, for having me. So how I got into it, honestly, was the path that I took as far as my career, which has kept elevating me to work with different groups of homelessness. So I started off working at Milwaukee Job Corps when I was in my earlier 20s as a residential advisor. A lot of my experience working with getting individuals who were either displaced because of their aging out of their homes or aging out of foster care. It really opened my eyes. And even prior to that, working with the youth as a youth development specialist here, just heard Miss Amber Green has experience as well. But working as a youth development specialist with a program that was for juvenile, more like juvenile delinquents or individuals who had cases that were teenagers. I got a lot of my work experience in that work at an early age, which really opened my eyes and really made me look at how these programs have been set up for, students, and how the need for solid group homes or even the referral for solid group homes was so important. So that's where I really got to start at, Ms. Barber.
All right. And I am informed that Amber Green has joined us. Amber, welcome to Igniting Change. We've already introduced you and talked about the great work of the Phoenix Youth Project. Can you tell people what led you to found the Phoenix Youth Project?
Well, I'll tell you, and I'm so glad to be here. And honestly, my tiredness is reason why. These kids are an extension of my family. They are my extended brothers, sisters, cousins. And when I started Phoenix Youth Project, I really started wanting to provide a safe space for young people on the Lower Eastern Shore to have a voice. A lot of young people on the Eastern Shore are so disempowered, and it's not just the young people, it's also their families. The Lower Eastern Shore is dealing with a lot of lack of resources, a lack of possibility for change when it comes to a lot of different issues that we see. And so when I started Phoenix Youth Project, I literally started because I had a group of kids that was always skipping school and coming hanging out on my stoop. And so one day I was like, why are you here? And when I asked that question of why are you here, I got an insight into a lot of young kids' life. I got to see teen moms, teen dads. I got to see, young people who were dealing with, families that were incarcerated. And that inspired me to create a space to where, these young people needed to have an outlet to where art can really drive their passion, and also art can serve as a way to kind of utilize their voice. And when the pandemic happened, we were steadily doing youth and adult dialogues. We were holding dialogues with youth and police, youth and teachers, really impacting young people to become leaders, to make change in a community. And when the pandemic happened, 80% of our young people who were our poets, who were our dancers, our painters, we learned that they were homeless. And that's when that term of, the homeless youth are the invisible population. And I felt so challenged by that, because I was saying, they're not invisible. They're right in front of us. And so Phoenix Youth Project took that call, and we started to be the lead agency for a lot of services that provided homeless youth, resources. And we opened up the first drop-in center in Salisbury, Maryland, that provides services specifically to homeless youth. And we have been championing the resources and the call-outs and the advocacy to bring awareness to the issues of homeless youth, because we have a lot of them. And we work with young people between the ages of 14 and 24. So that's how I fell into it. I've always wanted to be an anchor for young people and show them to use their voice. And sometimes I feel like they are experts in their experiences, and they should be able to utilize their experience to help others.
Wow. Daryl?
Yeah, Amber, welcome to your maiden voyage here on Igniting Change. So, we certainly want to welcome you aboard. And we know that, the lower shore of Maryland, the lower and eastern shore of Maryland, certainly Salisbury is probably one of the more densely populated parts of that lower shore, because it's primarily a very rural area. But we also know that, when you're dealing with children and homelessness, that generally children under 5, they make up the largest group by age of any, homeless household. And that's really throughout the country when we're talking about evictions. What are some of the financial challenges that you are now experiencing as you're trying to provide services for these kids?
Well, one of the challenges that we're seeing is that head of households are getting younger. And so we service a lot of head of households that are under the age of 25. And so that's where we see these young kids who are 0 to 5 or even 5 to 11 who are experiencing homelessness or experiencing instability when it comes to housing, facing evictions. And what we're finding is that for whatever reason, a young person who's between the 18 to 24, a lot of people think you're grown, you're an adult, you have all the resources, you should know what to do. And some people, I'm meeting young parents who have never filled out a W-2 form.
And hold that thought right there. We're going to be right back, because we have more Igniting Change, and we got to hear from Constance Crockett. Also, we are so glad you're here. Don't you dare cut that down. I will be right back. It's Igniting Change time.
WOL News Talk 1450 AM and 95.9 FM 959.
Good afternoon. Now this WOL traffic update.